I started that a few days ago and I see that it works. Good morning, all. We want to welcome you to the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials opening plenary session. I want to welcome you all to our national conference. I want to also publicly thank the Michigan chapter and all the organizations that have worked with them tirelessly over the last year and a half to bring us to this point. We've had a fabulous 3 days so far. We are in the process now of kicking off the next portion of our conference. So I'd like all of you in this room to give a round of applause to our Michigan We are so very excited to be here, and at this time, I'd like to make some introductions. Please, when you call your name, when your name is called, please stand and be acknowledged. Our President and CEO, Mr. Brad Mims. In his absence, I would also like to acknowledge our first Vice Chair, Mr. Freddie Fuller. Our second Vice Chair, Ms. and Dr. Diani Mendoza. Our Secretary Treasurer, Ms. Loretta Kirk. Our past Chair, Mr. Roosevelt Bradley. This next group are our board members at large, Ms. Tanya Adams. Mr. Sherman Elliott. Mr. Clinton Forbes. Mr. Mark Gale. Mr. Emil Williams. We have a few of our advisors here, so we'd also like to recognize Mr. Christian Kent. He's our Accessibility Committee advisor. Our strategic advisor to the board, Ms. Adelie Legrand. Our educational advisor, Ms. Deborah Underwood. As you know, our organization is made up of chapters, and those chapters have representatives that are on the board, and at this time, I'd like to introduce you to our three council presidents reps. The first would be Ms. Michelle Howard. Mr. Frank Mesa, and Ms. Gwendolyn Gray. As was mentioned, we are made up of chapters. So at this time, we're going to do a roll call of chapters. From Mr. Arizona. Miss Atlanta. Mr. Austin. Miss Birmingham. Miss Boston. Miss Central Florida. Okay. Miss Chicago. Miss Cincinnati. Mr. Cleveland. Mr. Columbus. Miss Fort Lauderdale. Mr. Houston. Miss Jacksonville. Mr. Kansas City. One of the hardest jobs to remember who the presidents are for all of these chapters, so I'm trying to wing it to try to put the face with the gender. Miss Maryland. Mr. Miami. Miss Michigan. Oh, okay. Whoa. See, Kim, at this time, you're supposed to drop the mic and walk off. Let's see, Miss New Jersey? Mr. New York? Now this one may be a little challenging for me. I'm just going to play it down the middle. Northern California. Miss Northern California. Lord, come on now. Come on, Lord. You got to be politically correct, right? Okay. Miss Northern Texas. Miss Oregon, Southwest Washington. Mr. Philadelphia. Mr. San Antonio. And the person who runs Southern California, Miss Southern California. Can I get this, okay, Okay. I'm following the script, and then after I look at the script, I see who I missed, and I catch up. We're gonna be okay. St. Louis. Washington, D.C. And we have two new chapters. Mr. West Palm Beach. And our newest kid on the block, Mr. Washington State. Mr. Washington State. You know, everybody wants to tell me what to do, you know. So again, I want to welcome you all. Oh, my goodness gracious alive. Man. See, this is a special person, so I got to play this one up, y'all, you know. But she's been around COMTO for a lot of years. She actually is one of the co-chairs for our city internship program. This is Miss Colorado State. Now, I believe I have captured all of the chapters, okay? Is there any chapter I did not recognize that's in the house? Okay, great. So at this time, we'd like to call to order the 46th National Meeting and Training Conference of the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials. And at this time, let the program begin. We will now have everyone stand as we receive the honor guard, after which time we will then sing the national anthem. Gary. At this time, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Audrey Andrews of HNTB, who will sing our national anthem. And what you have in front of you is the Detroit Color Guard, who have posted the flags.
Thank you, and please plan to sing along. Oh, say can we see by the dawn's early light, oh, so proudly we hailed at a twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets and the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the free?
You may be seated. Oh, okay. You doing the invocation?
Hey.
I would like to call to the podium Reverend Brenda Jones, who will render our invocation.
Good morning. Would you join me? Most gracious and loving God, we want to begin, first of all, by saying thank you. Thank you for 46 opportunities to come together, to train, to learn, and to serve. Father, we thank you for this organization. We thank you for the work of COMTO. And Father, as you have gathered these, your bright minds, your geniuses together to do your work in transportation, we ask you to be large in every meeting, every training. Open the minds and the hearts of each participant, Lord God, that they might gather every crumb that you have prepared for them. And then, Father, to take those back to their communities where they will make them large, God. Help each one of us see the vision for our cities, towns, and communities as we look at smart ways to transport your people, smart ways to do the things that we have before us to strengthen our communities and to make them safe, clean, and excellent in all ways. We thank you for each member, each chapter, especially those new chapters, because that is a sign of growth and development. Help us to continue that pathway. We thank you always. And together we say, amen.
Amen. I would now like to introduce Mark Van Post-Fleet, who is the Chief Operating Officer and Deputy Director of Michigan Department of Transportation, which is our host agency. Okay. We would also like to thank Ms. Okay, we're very thankful for MDOT's partnership with COMTO, and we invite you to bring us remarks at this time, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. What energy in this room. This is great. Welcome to Michigan. Welcome to Detroit. Hope the weekend was an eventful weekend for you. We had some decent weather, which was nice. Detroit is revitalizing and growing back again. So I hope you continue to have a good time in Michigan. It's my honor to be here at the 46th COMTO conference. I was asked to provide 4 to 5 minutes, that was right. So, and to be brief, because we have a panel discussion coming up, but I was asked to highlight a couple things. I'm proud of Michigan. I'm proud of the things that we do. Michigan is known for being very high in the country at almost everything it does. And our support, I think, of the minority businesses in Michigan is not to take second place to anyone else in the country. And that's really a tribute to folks like Kim Avery and Paul Adjaba, our region engineer in University Region, Tony Cratifield in Metro, Lisa Thompson, our Office of Business Development support, and my former boss, Greg Johnson, sitting over in the corner, who'll be up here, support the program and are active in the program. We have an on-the-job training program that I believe is second to none, programmatic program that is being touted as one of the best practices in the country. But I think one of the things we do, and I'll be careful with my words, is that we fully utilize the flexibility of the federal rules. And that's important because if you sit and do a checkbox environment, you're not going to get anywhere. We have to use our noodle and come up with new ways of doing business. The public kind of expects us to do new ways every day. That our support of the minority business program should be no different. So I'm going to highlight a couple things in projects. How many rode the Q line yet? Opened in May. A few folks. That was an initiative that had some innovative things in it. But one of the things that was used is the selection process using CMGC process where you get some best value pieces into the selection process. And one of the things that was there was utilization of local labor and minority businesses. Through that program and through a P3 initiative, 27% of a $180 million project was put out with minority businesses, 70 different contractors and vendors. Significant effort on a project, but in Detroit, you would expect the same. We have an I-94 project that is in the works. We're nickel and diming our way to there. I think we're on the 20-year build-out program for an over $2 billion project. Money helps sometimes. But one of the things that's been done through cooperative effort through our Consulting Engineers Council is set up mentoring type programs where we offer minority businesses that aren't currently pre-qualified in certain activities to participate under a mentor to become pre-qualified throughout gaining that work experience. And several of those firms have received up to $150,000 contracts as part of that project. So we continue to seek out new and different ways to support the minority business initiatives. Again, it is our desire to make sure that we have growth in Michigan. And growth in Michigan relies on a variety of folks to be participants. We can't make people successful, but what we can do is provide an open environment to allow that to happen and provide opportunity. And that's what we continue to seek every day. And so it's with great pleasure that I stand here as a representative of Michigan, in particular the people that I just named, who are the leaders in Michigan that are making things happen. So with that, again, welcome to Michigan. I hope the rest of the conference is very fruitful. And I know that we have other activities to go along the way. So am I to introduce the next person? Oh, all right. Well, again, thank you for being in Michigan. I promised to be brief, and so I tried to do that. Thank you very much.
Okay, moving right along. At this time, we have another partner, and I know that some of you had utilized this activity because a lot of you talked about your adventures into Canada, some with success and some with not so good of success. That means all of you went over to the casino and you had some had good times, some had bad times. But because of that, we'd like to bring to the stage one of our partners at this conference is Ms. Carolyn Brown, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Windsor Tunnels and Windsor Airport. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good morning. On behalf of the City of Windsor, Ontario, Canada, I would like to extend a warm welcome to each of you and to share with you two of our premier transportation assets. As my introducer mentioned to you, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Windsor Airport and the Windsor-Detroit Tunnel Corporation. The tunnel and the airport are two commercial enterprises that each yield an annual dividend of $1 million to the City of Windsor. For those of you who took the technical tour of the tunnel, you can appreciate the challenges of managing an 85-year-old asset that borders an international boundary and that carries over 4 million vehicles per year, which include commuters who live in Canada and who work in Michigan, as well as discretionary traffic. Since 1998, the City of Windsor has invested in excess of $40 million in capital improvements to replace the tunnel's roadway and its ventilation system, to expand the toll plaza, and to upgrade the toll system. And in a few months, we will be replacing the ceiling at an initial cost of $22 million. The tunnel is uniquely positioned to take advantage of the prolific development that is taking place in downtown Detroit. The tunnel's sole competitor is the Ambassador Bridge, but another crossing, the Gordie Howe Bridge, is scheduled to be open in 2022. Given its downriver location, we do not anticipate that it will have a measurable impact on the tunnel's traffic volumes. If you travel 25 minutes from the tunnel, you will get to Windsor Airport. which draws its passenger base from Metro Detroit as well as from Windsor. If you plan to travel by air, we are the secondary airport to the Detroit Metropolitan Airport. Our parking rates are lower, our security lines are much shorter, and you can get from the parking lot to the departure gate in approximately 5 minutes. Until 2012, the airport was struggling, but since that time, we've experienced a dramatic turnaround. Aggressive marketing, combined with strategic financial incentives, allows us to offer direct flights to major sun destinations such as Cuba. I know it's a challenge for US people, but we get to go there. Cancun, Punta Cana, and Jamaica. And as a result, our passenger growth has increased by 100%. In addition to which, we offer daily scheduled flights to Toronto and seasonal flights to Western Canada, from which point our customers can get to anywhere in the world. In closing, if your schedule permits, I'd invite you to take a trip across the river to the city of Windsor, walk our waterfront, explore our sculpture gardens. We have the best in arts, culture, and entertainment that complements Detroit. The city of Windsor operates a tunnel bus that will take you directly from downtown Detroit to downtown Windsor in a matter of minutes. But remember to bring your passport. Thank you for your time, and best wishes for a successful conference.
Okay, moving right along. Okay, at this time, I'd also like to recognize some of COMTO's professional partnerships. We have representatives from both of these organizations. At this time, I'd least like to recognize the APTA Board Chair, Mr. Dorian Barnes. And I believe we also have TRB Board Director, Mr. Neil Peterson. And if they don't consider it robbery, I'd just like to have them come up for a minute both and have just a couple of remarks. Will the most handsomest one speak first?
Well, I think I lose that bet, but well, good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you, and it's my honor to bring greetings from APTA, but also to be here as a long-standing member of COMTO. Great to be part of the COMTO family here. Wanted to mention a couple of things. First off, the chapters are a real strength of COMTO, but Gwendolyn Gray, what's the best chapter? Southern Cal. Yeah, I know, y'all going, not so much. But I had to say that, right, Gwen? Because I'm part of the Southern California chapter, and Gwen is my chapter president. So great to be with you. City of Detroit, wow. What a great place. Thank you, COMTO, for bringing me here to Detroit. It's my first time to be able to visit, and I am really, really impressed with what's happening here. At APTA, there are a number of things that are fundamental to what we're doing. First off, one of my initiatives was to update our diversity plan. And I don't know if Nat Ford is in the house, but Nat Ford, also a longtime friend of COMTO, serves as our vice chair, and Nat is leading that effort. And we are updating, refreshing what we're doing from a diversity standpoint, trying to make it stronger, make it more inclusive, make it even better. Where's Brad Mims? Brad? No, Brad was here, and Brad's all over the place. Brad serves on that effort, as part of that effort for us, and Brad, I want to thank you for your engagement in terms of what we're doing there. Very much appreciate that. Second area that we're focused on is something that is near and dear to COMTO's heart, which is what we're doing here, training and development. Developing those leaders, developing those skills, developing the people that will lead our transportation industry going forward. And Pam Boswell, our Vice President of Workforce Development, is here supporting me in that effort, along with Billy Terry and Beverly Hill. We are very much engaged together in building that workforce for the future. And we're very, very pleased to be able to do that, to work together, to develop the human capital that makes this industry so important and so rich. Final thing I wanted to mention is that I had a chance yesterday to join the Access Committee, the first meeting of the Access Committee, led by your Christian Kent. And a couple of observations there. One, we had to get more chairs to fill the room. Wow, that's cool. Really important topic. There were a lot of public transportation folks there, few folks from other segments. And one of the things that I really appreciate about COMTO is that COMTO is about bringing all the modes together, bringing ideas together, sharing that richness. And in that discussion, we had, again, a lot of public transit folks. We didn't have a lot of folks from other modes. And I made the comment that if that's going to be a public transit conversation, we should just take it over to APTA, because we do public transit. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not what this is about. It's about getting everybody engaged. So if you're involved in a different mode, if you have any interest, want to learn, want to get engaged, want to get involved, find Christian, join that committee. Because the conversation about how we include persons with disability is fundamental to all modes of transportation, and I applaud you for making that part of your agenda. It is a really, really important topic. Last thing I want to mention is that in October, the APTA Expo, once every 3 years, is coming. And it is one of the biggest things that happens in the public transit space. We come together, and I invite all of you to be there. I hope you'll join us in Atlanta. It'll be you, me, and 12,000 of our closest friends all coming together to learn about the greatest in innovations. I had a chance to meet with some of our business partners yesterday that were here in the expo hall, and I can't tell you the number of organizations and companies that are planning to announce big breakthroughs, great innovations. You're going to want to be there. You're going to want to learn about all that. So looking forward to being with you here at this conference, and thanks for the opportunity.
So hopefully someone will advance slides for me, since I don't see a clicker. Good morning, everyone. My name is Neil Peterson, for those who don't know me, and I am Executive Director of the Transportation Research Board. And I'd like to spend just a couple of minutes introducing those of you who are not familiar with TRB, and then I have an ask for all of you as well. So we are actually the largest transportation research organization in the world. We have an annual meeting every January. Last year we had over 13,000 attendees. I would like to invite any and all of you to attend our annual meeting. It's held the second week in January, this coming year, January 7th to 11th in Washington, D.C. We have a number of other convening activities that we're well known for as well. We have the largest contracted research program outside of the federal government in the U.S. as well. And many of you are familiar with the TCRP program, Transit Cooperative Research Program. We have similar programs in highways and airports as well. And then we are part of the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. And as part of that organization, we also advise the federal government on matters of policy. Next slide, please. So this is my ask. Every 5 years, TRB puts together a document called Critical Issues in Transportation. And this receives very widespread distribution. It's used in a number of universities and colleges and transportation programs. It's used with Congress and congressional staff and the administration as well. And we're just getting underway with development of our new issue of Critical Issues in Transportation. And I'm going to very quickly go through 10 categories that we have initially identified that we would like to be getting into more in depth in our next issue of Critical Issues in Transportation. And we would welcome not just COMTO's input, but the input of all of you as individuals as well. So if we could fairly quickly go through the next slides, please. So the first and obviously most important issue for all of us in transportation is safety. And we have a number of challenges associated with safety. I'm not going to go through all of the items under each of these slides. We will make this available to COMTO and hopefully to all of you as well to be providing input. But we have some tremendous opportunities in front of us if we're smart from a policy standpoint. Next slide, please. Obviously, system preservation maintenance is a big challenge in all modes of transportation, something that we need to be developing policy support for. There are a lot of research issues associated with that as well. Next slide. We have tremendous opportunities associated with automation, with technology and innovation. But we can't let the technology drive the policy. We have to figure out how policy is going to end up driving how we use the technology. It's a big challenge that we have in front of us. For example, in the area of transit right now, whether transit is going to truly be a partner with the shared mobility services or whether shared mobility services are a threat is going to very much depend upon how we address that from a policy perspective. Tremendous cybersecurity issues as well. Next slide. Freight is a huge challenge, and we have a lot of changes that are taking place from a technology standpoint, from the bottleneck perspective, from changes in freight flows that are taking place as a result of the global economy as well. Next slide, please. We have, whether we like it or not, we are having more severe storm events that are taking place that are severely impacting, again, all modes of transportation. We have threats from terrorism as well. We have challenges in front of us from greenhouse gas emissions perspective as well as clean energy. Next slide, please. Economic development and growth. Again, making sure that our investments are being done in such a way that we're supporting economic development and not just selecting projects from a political perspective. A number of other issues that relate to another topic that I will get to in terms of equity as well. Next slide, please. Reliability and congestion relief. And if I had been giving this presentation as recently as 5 years ago, it probably would have been called congestion. But reliability has really come to the forefront in terms of being a very significant and important issue. Next slide, please. This is an issue where I particularly would like to engage COMTO, one that I feel very strongly belongs in our top 10 list of issues. There are so many equity issues that we really need to be seriously addressing from a policy and from a research perspective. Whether it is issues associated with access for the elderly, for the disabled, for the economically disadvantaged. The fact of the matter is that most of the growth that is taking place in the U.S. now is taking place in urban areas and mega regions. What does that mean from a rural perspective? What are the implications of the emphasis that the current administration has on private financing from an equity standpoint? Tremendous issues associated with that. And what are the implications of technology and technology solutions from an equity standpoint? This just starts to scratch the surface in terms of issues associated with equity. And we really want to be identifying and addressing both the policy and research agenda for this category. Next slide, please. Governance issues. Again, we have tremendous challenges as we look forward in terms of levels of government, in terms of multi-jurisdictional issues, multimodal issues. Next slide, please. And when you speak in Washington about policy issues, usually this is the first one that comes out, financing, revenues, and expenditures. I intentionally made this last in the top 10 list, but we have, again, tremendous issues as we think about particularly financing issues as they affect all the other issues that I've just spoken about. So we do want your input as we proceed forward. We're very early in the process right now. This is your opportunity to help identify what the key issues are, to shape what the issues are, and to be helping us as we move forward in terms of development of this critical issues document. We will make this presentation available. I would welcome your input. I'll be around for the next 2 days. Would love to be speaking with as many of you as possible. My email address is there. I would personally welcome input from each of you as well. And thank you for the opportunity to both participate and to present this morning. Thank you very much.
Okay, very busy schedule this morning. As you heard, there's a lot going on in transportation. These are just two of our partners who we're all working in the same space. And it's very important that you all, as transportation professionals, make sure that you are taking part in all of these activities, because it's about moving our industry forward. With all the challenges we have with federal government right now, it's important that we do the work that we need to do on the ground level so that we can make sure that we have a seat at the table and they're also hearing our voices again. So we thank you for the work that APTA is doing in TRB along with COMTO. Fantastic. Okay, next, coming to the podium, we have one of our sponsors from, I guess this is CH2M, for a few remarks. I'm not sure who the representative is. Okay, here we go.
Good morning, COMTO. All right. Well, my name is Sharon Jean-Baptiste, and about a year ago, I attended my first COMTO conference in Dallas and received such a warm welcome, I decided to come back. So thank you for that. Thank you. All right, well, I bring greetings on behalf of CH2M. In my role as program manager for the company, I manage water and infrastructure projects for clients. I come across clients and communities that are really grappling with how to deliver and operate projects in a way that's safe, reliable, responsible, and equitable. And I found in my time with COMTO, interacting with COMTO professionals, including my chapter in Philadelphia, that COMTO really represents a great network of experts and advocates addressing these issues. And so it's been a great resource for me in my work and for CH2M and in our work. And so we're pleased to be partners with COMTO and really appreciate the opportunity to be a sponsor for this year's conference, as well as some of the initiatives that you all do. I wanted to also congratulate Bradley Mims, our new president and CEO. And just sort of have the opportunity to shout out my colleagues who are here, Tom Donahue, which you know very well, and a new call-in, Dalen Harris, who's taking some calls and so not here right now, but he's new to COMTO as well. He's our government relations manager for the Midwest U.S., and so I asked that if you see him, that you sort of give him a warm welcome, similar to what you did for me last year. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to be here and to be part of your program. Thank you, COMTO.
Okay, I have a whole book up here, y'all, so it's, you know. Again, we'd like to thank one of our partners, CH2, who is one of the sponsors for this particular event that you're participating in now. Okay, at this time, I think we're up for a musical selection. Am I on script, off script? Okay. See, I can't see the lights in my face, you know, so, you know. Okay, all right. And let me introduce this group to you. This is the Achievers Ladies Ensemble from the Detroit School of Arts. Please give them a warm COMTO welcome.
Barry Gordon founded the record label Tampa Records on January 12, 1959 in Detroit, Michigan. It was later on April 14th of 1960 when he named the record label Motown Record Corporation. Motown, a portmanteau of Motor in Town, also became a nickname for Detroit, the home of the automotive Big Three: Ford Motor Company, General Motors, and Chrysler. Travel has changed a great deal since 1959. We have more choices in how we travel, and it is faster and more efficient. Just for a moment, we are going back to the simplicity of life in the 60s, to the early Motown days. We will perform for you a medley of the Supremes called Simply Supreme. Thank you.
Have to wait.
Fantastic, 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 fantastic. Again, we'd like to thank these young ladies for their yes. I guess the scary thing for me is that I remember all of those songs. You know, I tell you, I'm getting younger every day. Some of you all can remember that too. Fantastic. Well, that was fantastic. Again, let's give these young ladies a round of applause. And at this time, we have a brief video from the governor of the state of Michigan.
On behalf of the state of Michigan, I would like to welcome you, the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, to Detroit for the 46th National Meeting and Training Conference. Michigan has always been a leader of the automotive industry, and as vehicle and transportation technologies continue to evolve, we're becoming a global leader in mobility too. MDOT is partnering with the City of Detroit and industry leaders to add smart technologies, specialized vehicles, and new business models to improve the safety, mobility, and environment in Detroit. Recently, Detroit began operation of the new Q line. While attending this conference, I encourage everyone to take a ride and experience all that downtown Detroit has to offer. Thank you and enjoy your conference.
Well, again, we'd like to thank the governor's office for the support and just for the great work that the government departments and agencies are doing here with Michigan, more especially, again, with the Michigan Department of Transportation, who is obviously the direct department under the governor's office. But at this time, we also have a representative from the city of Detroit, and he is Mr. Maurice Cox, who is the director of Detroit's Department of Planning, for comments from the city of Detroit at this time.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. It is so wonderful to see you all, to have you all here in the Motor City that I have been charged to transform into the multimodal city. So I'm here to talk about a little bit of the work that we're doing in the areas of non-motorized planning in Detroit. The first thing that I was asked to do, I've been in this position for about 2 years now, was first and foremost to rebuild confidence that we can plan our cities. And doing so, to build a world-class planning department. Just to give you a sense of what I inherited when I got here, we had 6 planners in the city of Detroit for a community of 700,000. Through the work and the support of Mayor Duggan, we now have 30 planners in the city of Detroit. And they come from a wide variety of disciplines: architecture, urban design, landscape architecture, city planning, and architectural history. So what's been fascinating about that process is how do you construct a planning department that looks like Detroit. In my discipline, I come from architecture. I think we're 4% of the discipline. And so to construct a planning department that really represents the diversity of this city was no small feat, but I'm happy to say that 60% of the planning department are people of color, 12 languages are spoken, and and women hold 55% of the leadership positions. And we're not through yet. Given the incredible value that the city has seen in investing in planning, I've been asked to add 19 more plannings, 19, over the next 12 months. And we are going to build out the first transportation planning division in Detroit's history, housed in the planning department. And I started by bringing an incredibly talented deputy director from Chicago, Janet Atarian, who spent 20 years in the Department of Transportation in that city. And she's leading our effort. And I hired our first senior transportation planner who started 2 weeks ago. So we intend to build out that unit, and our goal is to make that unit look like Detroit. So you can't imagine how happy I was to walk into this room and see that there are so many of you. And I would just encourage those of you who are looking for perhaps the challenge of your career to consider Detroit. So we're hiring. So the reality of trying to turn the Motor City into the multimodal city has me talking more about pedestrians and cyclists more really than automobiles. And so I have been able to get the conversation started by focusing on other modes. Currently, the city is completing its first downtown comprehensive bicycle plan that will include 50 miles of protected bike lanes. We're just leapfrogging over traditional bike lanes and going to protected bike lanes within the 7.2 square mile, which is the area that's most dense. We hired the same team that built the bicycle network of the city of Copenhagen to work here in Detroit. And that plan, so yes, folks like me do ride bikes. If you've noticed, or you will notice, we launched the MOGO bike sharing program, and take a look at who's on those bikes. It's really, really quite encouraging, because biking in Detroit really is a rather soulful pursuit. We are also completing, or we are getting ready to add to the DeQuindra Cut, which is this wonderful greenway that connects Midtown to the riverfront. But it is just the first 3.5 miles of what we envision will be a 26-mile loop of off-road bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure to circle the city, so someone from 8 Mile can get down to the riverfront on off-road bicycle ways. And we just secured about 7 miles of Conrail property and received a $2 million gift that was announced last week to design the entire 26-mile loop. So Atlanta's Beltline, you should watch out. There are a few folks from Atlanta here. The other thing that I'm very, very proud of is our attention that's being turned to the neighborhoods. A lot of you know that the heart of any recovery is in its downtown. That's the core. But the soul of a city resides in its neighborhoods. So our job is to connect those neighborhoods in ways that traditionally they had not been, like the Inner Circle Greenway, but also taking back our commercial corridors and putting these arterial roads on a diet, really, and beginning to integrate protected bike lanes, sidewalk and pedestrian enhancements, and really reducing the speed so that economic development and neighborhood retail can emerge again. So we are undertaking a 3-year capital program to create a complete streets network of about 24 miles in this city. And it will be focused on the areas that we are trying to grow again. So the attention again to streets. And even projects like the I-375 submerged highway on the east side. We're in the process of partnering with MDOT to explore what it might mean to bring that highway to the surface in the form of an urban boulevard. What's fascinating there is it's not only a question of placemaking, the opportunity to create an urban boulevard, but it's also a question of equity. I-375 was built on top of Hastings Street, which was the center of Black Bottom, which was the center of Black culture in Detroit in the first part of the 20th century. And it was removed, and we have that highway today. So when we look at returning it to the surface, we look at it through the lens of equity and placemaking. So I'm very excited about that. But in the last project that I'll reference has been referenced today a number of times, the Gordie Howe Bridge, the bridge, international bridge to Canada. Once again, a fantastic, incredible piece of civil engineering, but it's also an opportunity to create place and to preserve communities. So in the negotiations that we recently completed, not only will there be bike lanes on the bridge, which will be our first, but we also developed a buyback program for all those families that will be displaced as a result of this bridge landing in Delray. It did not start this way, but the entire impact area packages will be offered to all those families to find houses in Detroit to be rehabbed and to stay in the city that they love. So exciting things are happening. I would encourage any of you, some of the young people who are out in the audience who are hoping to work in a place where equity matters in transportation, that you look us up in Detroit. My email is coxm@detroitmi.gov, and we're looking for some talented minority transportation planners. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful conference.
Okay. At this time, I would just take a quick opportunity to showcase a group of people that I am very proud of. At this time, I would ask that all of our city interns please stand. This is 22 of some of the new bright minds that we are trying to usher into transportation. So those of you who are sitting around the room, and that gentleman who just gave the comments in reference to what they're looking for, I see he's having a conversation right now. I'm trying to get his attention since he's had our attention. I just showcased 22 very bright minds that please make sure that you connect, because there could be a fantastic relationship in the making there. Okay, moving right along, we do have another presenter who's a part of this regent. He is the county executive officer. We happen to share the same name. His name is Mr. Warren Evans.
Thank you. First of all, good morning to all of you. I'm going to try not to be a presenter. I'm going to try to be a welcomer. And I'm really, really glad that you're here in Detroit and Wayne County. I want to acknowledge for a minute, my council president, Detroit is roughly half of Wayne County. We have 43 other communities, but my dear friend Brenda Jones, who is the city council president in the city of Detroit. She's not only a dear friend, but she's a dear friend because she can look around a room like this and just smile and get excited. You know, we've got professionals of color involving public sector, private sector, in a city that's trying to do far more, in a county that's trying to do far more in terms of not only enhancing transportation, but enhancing the people who are able to do the technical work to do the transportation projects, and that's something we're very, very committed to. So, you know, whether it's Metro Airport, which is in Wayne County, as I said, we have 43 communities who represent just a little under 2 million people, or I represent a little under 2 million people. And it is a total commitment of mine to make sure as we go into autonomous vehicles, as we go into a rapid transit system, I want to see connections between Detroit and Metro Airport. I want to see connections between Detroit, Metro Airport, and Ann Arbor. I want to see a number of things that will take people to the opportunities. I mean, we're at a point in our economy now where there are many, many jobs in Wayne County and in the region that aren't filled because we can't get people to the jobs. And while we're the motor city, the car capital of the world, there are an awful lot of people in this county who don't have cars. And if any of you are from Detroit, you know one of the reasons why is because the car insurance costs more than the car. And so until those realities get fixed, I mean, that is a reality. And it's a sin and a shame for a place that is trying to move forward and doing a great job of it, by the way, to have difficulty getting people to jobs when they're here looking for that work. And that is particularly significant in communities of color. And that's just a reality. As I look, whether it's the influence that I would have with respect to our airport or the other 43 communities, it is extremely important to me that you all understand that I'm totally committed to making sure we try to create those opportunities. And I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I understand how hard it is, and I understand the guarded games that are often played to give lip service to creating those opportunities, but not really getting in the weeds to make sure it happens. I'm committed to making sure it happens. And so I hope many of you will listen to what other presenters have said about opportunities in Detroit and opportunities in Wayne County. Don't feel hesitant to go offline and reach out to people like myself who have been in this business for a long time. Not much gets past me in terms of ways to avoid inclusion while talking about diversity. I get it. And I'm very, very committed to trying to rectify to the best that I can those issues and those problems. So whether it's autonomous vehicles at Willow Run Airport, whether it's better logistics around our airport, you know, Wayne County's airport has probably got about, let me see if I can get it right, but about 600 acres of undeveloped land around a world-class airport. It's very, very difficult to find in this country. And so the opportunities for new logistics companies, opportunities for better transit, flight transit, better use of our rivers and our waterways, they're just great opportunities here. And as the economy is coming back, those opportunities are becoming clearer and clearer. And so we want to grow, but we don't want to just grow and have what we commonly talk about in Detroit as two Detroits. You know, the Detroit that lived through all of the tough times, and then the Detroit that comes in to invest. There needs to be a melding of those. Critically important to me. Thank you for your time. It was great just to come in the room and see this many people of color in a special mission with respect to transportation. Those who support that, I'm really happy to see the young people that are here. Wayne County has interns too. Wayne County has opportunities too. So you don't have to get lost in the concept of the city of Detroit. Wonderful place, but we're a little broader than that. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
So I'm going to charge our intern leadership team to make sure that you reach out to both the city planning department and also Wayne County in terms of information, so that when this group of young people will leave here, they have some level of connectivity. Because I believe some of you are seniors that's a part of this group. How many seniors do we have in this group? Okay, all right, okay. And then the rest are juniors, right? Okay, and I think we have maybe one sophomore. Couple sophomores, okay. So especially you seniors, you know, you hear it, there's some opportunities. There's some opportunities, so that's fantastic. Okay, at this time, we have one more speaker. I wanted to move the program around because it's important that we hear from this young lady. I had the fortune of being in her presence on several occasions when I was working here as a consultant on the DDOT project. I would tell you that when she talks to you, you listen and you get it done. So at this time, I'd like to bring to the stage the president of the council, the city council, the Honorable Miss Brenda Jones.
Good morning to everyone. Now, I'm going to try to be a little brief so that, I'm going to tell you, if you see I'm too long, just tap me on the shoulder. So let me start off by greeting all of you, board chair, president, members, my good friend. We grew up together, you guys, Sherman Elliott, but he's just a little older than me, just a little. The elected officials and all the guests. It's truly an honor for me to be here with you all today and to welcome the transportation professionals to Detroit for your 46th National Meeting and Training Conference. I'm truly pleased that you all have chosen our city to recognize the actions that we're taking to integrate transportation systems, to improve technology, and to address mobility issues as we position our city, and we have already begun our big comeback. Now, understand that some of you have visited or plan to visit the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel, ride the new Q line and the People Mover, tour the Ford Rouge plant and the Metro Airport facilities, and view the Transportation Operations Center cameras that monitor traffic on 400 miles of freeways. I hope you have not only visited transportation and mobility sites and systems, but you've taken a time and a moment to meet and talk to Detroiters and to feel a bit of our Detroit love that only we can share with you. The ease of transportation and mobility will be key to our revitalization as we seek to connect workers to jobs, neighbors to neighborhoods, and regions to each other. Literally opening up our area by increasing accessibility options for all. Our automobile industry is exploring smart technology, self-driving vehicles, and the next wave of personal transportation. I can't wait to see the self-driving Uber. I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait to see it. Well, we're growing options too with the introduction of the Q-Line light rail system, expansion of the bike lanes for cyclists, and pending construction of the Gordie Howe Bridge. We're on the verge of a transportation growth curve. Detroit has even hired a mobility specialist to help coordinate efforts in our city. Now, we still face some challenges to integrate our region. Last year, our voters rejected the regional transportation proposal, and it's really causing us to rethink strategies to connect riders to solutions. And it's also, as a legislator, make me realize how we have to educate people. And again, I'm gonna say we have to educate people on how important transportation is for everyone. We could begin, we could benefit from any advice or best practices you guys might offer to us collectively. We could definitely benefit. Another area we can use your help in is exposing Detroiters to jobs in the transportation and mobility industry. Now, I chair Detroit Skilled Trades Task Force, and that brings together developers, contractors, trade unions, and presidents in the same room. We are working to provide opportunities that decrease high levels of unemployment in our community. You can help us by designating our city as a transportation industry talent pipeline with training, development, and placement opportunities for apprentices, college interns, and Detroit youth. You'll find a workforce that is hungry right here for opportunities, able to quickly learn new processes and open to diverse experiences. I urge you to give us a chance to show what we can accomplish in your industry. As a newly elected vice chair of SUMCOC, which is Southeast Michigan Council of Governments General Assembly, I will continue to work to ensure Detroiters and our regional partners have access to the best transportation and mobility opportunities that makes life easier, safer, and that provide the best use of public and private dollars. I'm so excited to work toward this goal, and I'm asking all of you who live, work, play, or visit our city to join me in this effort. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts during your momentous national conference right here in the Big D. Now, one last thing. Don't spend all your time working. Leave some of your hard-earned dollars at one of our 3 casinos. You know, those hard-earned wages, leave them right here in the Big D so that we'll know that you was a part. Leave your money here. We welcome you. Thank you again. Enjoy your conference.
Let's give her a round of applause. Okay. And now we ask that you relax a little bit. It's time to get into some of the nitty-gritty of this particular morning's meeting. It's very important, obviously, that we do the acknowledgments in the beginning and let those folks who are responsible for bringing all this together and the support of the local area. But now I'd like to bring to the stage one of COMTO's own. I met this gentleman some years ago. When I first met him, he was the Chief Operating Officer of MDOT. During that tenure, he then left the state of Michigan and went to Maryland, where he then was the State Highway Administrator in Maryland. But you know what they say, all chickens come home to roost? And because of a love for his family and some things there, he then left Maryland and came back to the state of Michigan, where he is now the Senior Vice President of the Michigan WSP. Can I? WSP USA, you know? Did I get it right, Ms. Tanya? Okay, did I get it right? Okay, I got it right this time. Okay, thank you very much, okay. I don't want no problems. So at this time, I'd like to bring Mr. Craig Johnson to the podium. Who will moderate the panel discussion with some very formidable individuals around some transportation concerns. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Warren, thanks for that grand introduction. At this time, I'd like to invite our panel to come on up. So we're gonna get this back on schedule. I've been told that I'm gonna be the cleanup hitter to get us back on schedule. So our topic this morning, and you guys go ahead and have a seat. I'm gonna have you guys do a self-introduction, but I'm gonna introduce our topic real quick. The term smart transportation has many different meanings in different settings. So it encompasses some of the diverse things that you've heard this morning, such as autonomous and connected vehicles. But it also includes intelligent infrastructure, multimodalism, public-private partnerships, high-speed rail, innovative project delivery, paperless environment, 3D modeling. These are all aspects of smart transportation. So the panel this morning, we're going to talk about how some of the agencies that are part of the COMTO family are embracing smart transportation trends and concepts and what they are doing to create an atmosphere where smart transportation can flourish. So these trends have the potential to change the way we travel, the cost of transporting goods, how we live, where we live. So how projects are designed. So the skill sets needed for these, and I want to particularly point to the young folks in the city intern program. These are going to be the folks who are bringing new skill sets, new thoughts to solving some of the long-term transportation projects going into the future. So it's critical that COMTO understand and discuss these concepts in depth, so when you go back and take these to your organizations, you can be that much more assured that you are leading in the smart transportation arena. So this morning we have brought together a panel of experts to dive into some topics. So I'm going to ask each of the panel members to briefly tell you who they are and what they do, and then we will get into the panel discussion. So we'll start with Mark Van Poortvliet.
Mark Van Poortvliet, I'm the Deputy Director, Chief Operations Officer, Chief Engineer for Michigan Department of Transportation.
Earl Lewis, Deputy Secretary of Policy Planning and Enterprise Services with the Maryland Department of Transportation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know you've been sitting there for a while, but I promise you, you're going to be entertained. My name is Grenly Johnson. I'm the Deputy Secretary of Transportation from the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I bring you greetings from my governor, the Honorable Terrence McAuliffe. So I am very pleased to be here.
All right, so why don't I'm going to start off with Grenly. She said she didn't want to be first, so that just made me make her first.
You'll pay for it, but that's okay.
If you would, highlight a few things that your organization is doing that would be considered smart transportation.
We have changed the way that we fund our projects. We have what we call Smart Scale. I don't know about in your states, but in Virginia, when you got a new governor, and a governor can only be in office for 4 years, they always come in with a plan of which project is their special project. Well, we put something in place called Smart Scale so that now it's an evaluation. There's certain criteria. You can't just say, I want this project. A legislator just can't tell you why he wants it. There are 6 criteria for being on getting the Smart Scale funding. But to me, when you prioritize how you spend your money, because it is tax dollars, it's taxpayers' dollars, it is very critical. The other thing that we've done is we've changed our P3 reform. where we now require that if we're going to do a P3, we're going to see how much it would actually cost us to do it. Then we go out for competitive bid. And then I guess the next thing would be out of AV, autonomous vehicles. We're just getting in on that one now. We're deciding we're not going to have any regulations. We're going to see what companies need. We've dedicated about 70 miles of highway for this testing, and we're going to be starting with 95 and 395. Any of you live in the Metro DC region, we will be starting to test AV on 95 and 395.
Excellent, thank you. Earl, what's going on in Maryland? What smart things are you guys doing?
Well, first of all, I'd like to also give greetings from Governor Larry Hogan and Secretary Pete Ron, great supporters of COMTO, and Maryland looks forward to hosting next year's conference.
Outstanding.
At the Maryland Department of Transportation, the focus on smart transportation is multimodal. Whether it's Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration's introducing state-of-the-art driver's licenses, or the Maryland Transportation Authority introducing procurement for third-generation tolling technology, Maryland Aviation Administration opening the DE terminal security checkpoint, whether it's the MPA introducing new software to help with the logistics of handling containers, and trucks coming in and out of the port, moving commerce on an everyday basis, or it's MTA revising schedules for buses that have been around for decades to improve service. Again, the overall mission here is to produce better customer service, as well as allowing our businesses to operate more efficiently. And what this also does, in implementing 21st century technology, it allows opportunities for businesses to help us provide these new services.
All right. Mark, cleanup hitter for Michigan. We've heard some of the things. Tell us what Michigan is focusing on.
So Michigan is very focused on connected vehicles. We have Planet M. We're in the Planet M emblem today, which is a series of things in Michigan. It includes M-City, which is our urban kind of connected vehicle test grounds. The big three auto industries are very involved in the things that are active there in the vehicle-to-vehicle or vehicle-to-infrastructure pieces. We are actively building right now a high-speed test track at the Willow Run Airport, which will allow us to test that more rural environment. We certainly have other infrastructure throughout Michigan as well. We've been active in platooning in Michigan. We actually have legislation that currently will allow it when time comes to have autonomous vehicles. And in other aspects, we certainly look at automation as a way to go. With machine control grading is very active in Michigan. We are looking to develop plans in a way that we just transfer files to contractors. We utilize all different types of contract letting procedures. We try to fit the contracts to the right type of contract, whether it be design build, fixed price variable scope. We look at P3s. We actually have a P3. We have an active P3 with our Canadian partners, as you heard a little bit about. Big bridge hopefully coming your way soon. And we just look as IT as a way to support a business practice. We are, I think, the leader through Greg's tutelage on e-construction. We expect that saves us somewhere between $12 and $20 million a year just in the administration of our construction contracts.
I haven't got my check for that yet, Mark.
It's in the mail.
All right, so the states are doing some great things, but once again, you have to have an atmosphere to make sure that you continue to innovate, continue to do smart things. So Mark, and I'll start back with you. How are you encouraging innovation, continuous improvement in smart transportation in your organization?
So like many agencies, we set goals. And one of the goals that we had was to advance innovation faster. So all areas of the department have a goal to promote and create a culture of innovation. It goes everywhere from the maintenance facilities, where they are enhancing our equipment every day on salt distribution or other techniques, all the way up to looking at processes and things to eliminate waste, eliminate things that affect time production and things along that line. So we promote and support innovations every year. We have conferences where we highlight some of those innovations. Every person has a challenge to be innovative in some way, whether it be small, something they can implement at their own office, or something global that takes many folks. What we've found is that as long as we support it, the ideas come from the people that do the work every day. They're the ones that are best suited to modify the business that they do every day.
And Earl, I know part of the answer to this, how Maryland is encouraging innovation, but I would turn it to you.
Sure, I'll do that on two levels. One, Maryland has two, you want to be inclusive. And you need to have task forces that are looking at these issues that bring all the various stakeholders in the table. Maryland has both a connected vehicle, autonomous vehicle task group headed by Chrissy Nizer, the administrator of the Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration. She focuses on the regulatory aspects of autonomous and connected vehicles, while folks in MDTA and State Highway focus on the technology-related issues and also the risks that may bring to the system and how we're going to mitigate those risks, because that technology is coming. We also have an Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Council, which also looks at how we build out electric vehicle infrastructure throughout the state. That involves public sector at all state levels of government, federal, regulatory, as well as private sector and citizens who come up with good ideas in terms of how we can leverage technology. There's so much going on across technology. You really have to have many people whose eyes are open and ears are to the ground to really make sure that you know what the good ideas are. Regarding being innovative, we had a procurement recently to reduce congestion on I-270, which is a major highway in the western part of Montgomery and Frederick County in Maryland, which has very significant congestion issues. We, last summer, put out on the street what we call innovative congestion management procurement, which basically had a fairly open-ended requirements, basically letting the marketplace know who can come up with a plan to move the most traffic the farthest in the least time. That was a $100 million procurement. We got a lot of great ideas. We're implementing one that actually has 14 different aspects to it that's going to add, I think, approximately 23 vehicle miles to the I-270 corridor, a lot of smart automated transportation technology, like meter traffic onto the interstate, as well as smart communications to drivers to reduce the time by up to 30 minutes based on the models that were run. So things like that, and also obviously P3s, we're doing those too.
Grinley, tell me what Virginia is doing to encourage innovation, to create the culture of continuous improvement.
First of all, in the Secretary's office, we have a young person, a millennial, who's leading our innovation task force. And she networks with our 7 agencies, and we have VDOT, which is Roads, Department of Rail and Public Transportation, VDOT, VPA, Port, we have Spaceport, we have Aviation, and I don't know if I said DMV. But at VDOT, we're doing a lot of innovative things of connected vehicles. We are at the port, we have what we've done, smart technology with trucks, so that we can communicate with the trucks when they're coming into our port. They know what time they need to get there for their slot. If there's a backup, we have communications that lets them know about the backup. So those are things that are going on in our port, which is the 3rd largest port in the country, which is already dredged to 50 feet, and we only have to go another five feet for it. We also have what we call P3 reform. I don't know if anyone's here from the metro region, but we've done an innovative way of how we have done P3s. What we did is we went out and costed it for ourselves. Then we put it out for bid. It came back in. And instead of us having to put money in for a P3, Centra's, anyone here from Centra? They were the ones who successfully got the bid. They're going to write us a check for $500 million. So I think that was innovative. Because what we did, we went out, we got competitive bids so that when their bid came in, we could take a look at it, see if it was good, if it was something we needed to accept. When we first started the procurement, we had people sign to say, this is what we really want, this is what we're going to go for, and if you signed it, the secretary signed the declaration. The assignment of risk was signed by the secretary and Centra, and at the end, we're going to have a great project that will have a 42% small women and minority gold on a $2.1 billion project. And because civil rights and DBEs are near and dear to my heart, I call that innovation.
That is truly innovation, let me tell you. In respect for getting back on schedule, I'm going to ask the panel one more question, and in that last question, you can bring in any concluding remarks you would like to leave the audience with. But this last question is, what advice would you give to this audience to ensure that they are fully prepared to participate in some of the smart things that your agencies are doing? What things can these folks do to prepare themselves, from the city interns to the grizzled veterans in different organizations? What things do they need to be looking at? So let's start with Brindley.
They need to think beyond the car. The car is not going to be the end all for transportation. You can't pave your way out of congestion. You have to be creative. Do not think that your ideas are stupid. There are no bad ideas. Put your effort forward. Be strong in your beliefs. And I always like to say this, you know, if someone helps you, you got to help someone else. You got to bring somebody else up. It's not enough just to get it yourself. You got to bring somebody else up with you. But if you stick to your values, look beyond the car, be creative, network, and have a faith in something, you'll be all right.
All right, Earl.
Oh, I can second Brindley Johnson's comments. In addition, what I would do is I would make sure that I do a needs assessment of my business to make sure that I am prepared to the best of my ability to be able to successfully bid on these types of contracts, whether they're construction contracts, technology contracts, project management contracts. You need to be sure that you're prepared to deliver what the customer is looking for. We are looking for being inclusive in terms of spreading the wealth around regarding building out the 21st century technology, which includes a lot of different aspects of smart transportation. So just be prepared to take advantage of the opportunities when they come, but making sure your firm is as strong as it can possibly be.
Okay. Mark.
So first, make sure in your state you take advantage of the programs that are available to you. There are training programs, there are exposure programs, there are mentoring programs. Those things will add value to your business. Create broad, wide partnerships. The more partnerships you have with your peers, the better off you are in a variety of different ways. I think the other thing is be ready for the speed of change. It is so much different than when I started 185 years ago with the department, but things are changing so fast, you have to have that litmus test. Instead of every year or 2 years, you think, we finally got there. You never get there. I think that's the key. The public demands, they're very impatient now. And so the expectations are very high. Keep a temperature on a regular basis, because if you don't, your peers are going to pass you by. And so things are changing much faster than probably what I'm able to keep up with. But you have young folks, you have a broad array of people that can help you get there. Trust them and build on it.
Well, I would like to...
I have one last thing to say.
Go ahead, Brenda.
I'm going to be here through tomorrow, but in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we have a lot of work going on. In Northern Virginia, we have a $2.1 billion project that's going to be starting. In Hampton Roads, we're going to be building a new tunnel, a couple of bridges. We're going to be widening interstates. So there'll be a lot of business going on in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I will be here all day, and I'll be here tomorrow until about 2. Please seek me out and ask about some things going on in Virginia. But one other thing I want to say, communication. Communication and transparency. You cannot communicate enough about what is going on with your project. To me, the success of any project is not only the good engineers, I know you got to have engineering, but it's your communication staff who gets the message out.
Agreed.
Greg, as another partner in the DMV, we have a $14.8 billion 6-year capital program in the state of Maryland for transportation. So similarly, we have opportunities. On top of that, we're building a new bridge, linking ourselves to our friends in Virginia down in southern Maryland, a nice bridge. We're partnering with VDOT. So there's lots of opportunities.
Well, definitely some exciting things happening and some very smart things being done by the agencies that these folks represent. So in the cleanup position to get us back near time, we're going to once again thank the panel for their participation. So let's give them a hand. And once again, I'd like to thank the audience for hearing us and hearing some of the ideas that are out there in smart transportation. So thank you very much.
Please give our panel a round of applause. I think one of the things that I heard that was resounding is that each one, reach one, teach one, and bring one up. Also, I need to talk to Mark because if he's 185 years old, we need to know what that secret is. We all need to go into that business and leave transportation alone. Okay, well, I thank you for your time and attention. Just a few housekeeping things. Downstairs on the 3rd floor in the exhibit hall, Ontario West, there is a coffee and snack breakout for you, okay? Also, when you leave out of this room, to your right, if any of you have to make the little girls, little boys break, okay, that facility is there. And then we want to all meet up for the legislative luncheon, where we have a supreme panel of former secretaries of transportation in the House. So I deploy you to make sure you're in that place. And last but not least, several people have come to me since I've been here the last several days, and they're looking for job opportunities and contracts. Well, I just heard that in Virginia, they got a lot of things going on. In Maryland, they got a lot of things going on. In Michigan, they got a lot of things going on. So you need to do yourself a service and reach out to those people. But I'm also going to charge, again, my leadership for the Mentors program to make sure we get some contacts with these individuals for our interns, because that's our future. Again, let's give our interns a round of applause. So again, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.